It's time for Hostile Discourse. Here's your host, David Rolfing.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 41 of Hostile Discourse. We have another Game of Thrones episode planned for you tonight. Season 8, episode 1 premiered just last night, about 24 hours ago, so we're excited to talk about that episode. And we have the first debate of the season in store for you all. It is to pitch the best ending for the series, the best ending for season 8. And Jared, our unbiased, hopefully, judge, is going to be picking the winner for that debate. But first, before we get started, let me introduce you to tonight's crew, starting with first-time guest, Peter Cohen from Denver, Colorado. Welcome, Petey boy.
Hey, thank you, David. Appreciate you having me on the show. I am excited, especially because I am here with another buddy of mine, which I'm sure you'll introduce shortly.
I noticed an iTunes review pop up the other day. I'm going to read it for you all real quick.
Yes.
The subject, great podcast, call for a roast. Love this podcast as one who enjoys a good GOT episode or Star Wars binge, but not always the most up-to-date. These guys are great for even just the casual fan or the mega nerd alike. I do request that they have an episode dedicated to roasting one guy they've had on the show a time or two, Cole Norman. That dude is a loser and absolutely needs a digital thrashing. Peter, can you confirm or deny your involvement in this Apple Podcast review?
Yep, the jig is up. That was me, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to come out and say that was me, and I'll take full responsibility. If Cole has any feedback or anything he wants to say about it, tell him to bring it on.
And just 3 days later, you have your opportunity to digitally thrash Cole in this debate if you succeed in your efforts.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
And he is with us, Cole Norman. Welcome back to the show, Cole.
What's up, fellas? What an honor to be back. Peter.
Uh-oh. The laughing rage.
I would encourage a digital thrashing from you. I would encourage it.
I think maybe we could probably arrange this. I hope it. I mean, we'll see what happens tonight. This could be like a little warm up, like whenever they get in the boxing arena or whatever, and they kind of square up. But you never know. We'll see.
Good. I'm glad to have you on, my friend.
Pleasure to be here.
Have you on? It's like it's your show or something.
Cole's the host now.
That's it. Put Cole in place right now. Let's go.
And back again, as always, my faithful co-hosts, starting with Jared Cozart from Tulsa.
Hey, gang.
And Joe Kuiper from Oklahoma City.
Oh, hello, everyone. So stoked to be here.
All right, so Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1 is on last night. I'm pretty sure it was called Winterfell, the official title. What were your guys' high-level thoughts on the episode? Starting with Joe.
In terms of rating, I gave it a 7.1 out of 10. Thought it accomplished a lot of the things that I expected from it, but lacked a lot in terms of entertainment value. So we'll see where the rest of the season goes.
All right. Peter, what'd you think?
I agree with Joe on this. It was good because it was like a nice opening. I like how they kind of led in with the kid running through. I know, watched commentary and everything from the directors and how that kind of had a parallel to the first episode with Aya going through and watching the soldiers marching in. However, it definitely was slow, and there were some almost awkward moments to it. I'm sure it'll kind of smooth itself out. It's always kind of hard to get a season opened, but that's kind of my initial thoughts on it.
Cole, what'd you think?
I did not really like it. I was a little bit disappointed. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It did enough in terms of bringing everybody back together for the first time in a very long time. A lot of really cool reunions that we get to see. But at the same time, yes, it was boring, and there were some parts in it that I thought were a bit lazy in terms of writing, which we can get into later.
Yes. And Jared, what'd you think?
Well, Peter made a good point about the parallelism, or how it mirrored the first episode, and really how it mirrored the kind of the theme of the show throughout all 7 seasons so far. But ultimately, my 2 words to describe it are underwhelming and concerning.
Whoa.
Agreed.
Concerning, Jared.
Yeah, concerning. I hope, and I'm actually really looking forward to be proven wrong on this, because they're going to hit us with some curveball. I'm expecting fastball, so I'm going to strike out here.
Jared, were you pessimistic going into the first episode?
No. I think that was part of my problem too, is I had high expectations.
Yeah.
What concerns me, and I don't know what the plan is, Big D, but I'm just going to go into it. What concerns me is that the way they're setting up Cersei, and someone else has mentioned this already in a group text we had, and
that was me too.
It was you, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate to say that it was, yeah, exactly. I hate to say that you had a good point, but you did. Yeah, I think it feels right now like Cersei is like the ultimate villain, like the end game villain, and they're going to get through the Night King in 5-6 games, and then they'll have Cersei in the championship. And I don't like that plot if it goes that way.
I mean, that's what it seems like right now, because she's, hanging out at King's Landing while the dead army's getting closer to them in Winterfell. But I mean, maybe that's not the case. Maybe she actually does come north with the Golden Company or something. It could change. It seems that way right now, but maybe that's not the case.
I agree. That's why I'm sitting on fastball, but the curveball's coming, I think. So I'm excited to see how they, make my expectations wrong there.
Jerry, let me ask you this. Would you be upset if the show ends with Cersei and the Golden Army coming to save the rest of the world and defeating the White Walkers? Would that upset you?
Are you going to change your debate answer if I say yes?
Maybe.
Hell, I mean, it'd be interesting for sure. It would be a curveball. It'd be a freaking wiffle ball curveball. That'd be out of nowhere. I'd have to hear some more context. Off the bat, I'm like, I don't really like that. I want Cersei to die a pretty unhonorable death.
Don't field the judge's opinions, Cole. We can talk about the future and our theories and in the debate. Let's talk about episode 1. And I guess my high level thoughts about the episode were, I really liked the intricacies of the characters and the parallelism from episode 1, season 1, like you mentioned. I also did have some concerns around just more, not really concerns, but just kind of cringy moments, which we haven't really seen in past episodes. I mean, the most obvious one is Bran just sitting around the castle staring at everybody. Every time he came up on the screen at our watch party with about 10 people, we were just cracking up every time his face came up on the TV, which was just kind of didn't feel Game of Thrones, usually there aren't cringy things like that in the show. And the other main one was Daenerys and Jon when they went on their magic carpet ride on the dragons, singing A Whole New World, basically, and then landed at the waterfall. Daenerys was acting out of character, I thought. She was kind of giddy, and I know she's in love, I guess, for the first time, but I don't know, just how she's acting and emoting her eyebrows, which I know the actress Emilia Clarke does sometimes, in real life. She was just a lot more emotive than Daenerys usually is, and that was kind of off-putting for me as well. And I hope they don't try to just make their love story, I don't know, it just didn't seem on theme with Game of Thrones, how giddy and in love they were.
Here's the good news, Big D. As Varys said, nothing lasts. And that love is going to fall apart real soon when she finds out Jon's identity.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that was that's the peak of what we're going to get from that. And since Jon found out at the end of the episode who his ancestry truly is, hopefully he tells Dany sometime soon that's just going to fall apart. So we won't see any more of that. I'd be fine with that.
One thing that I've always loved about Game of Thrones is how much foreshadowing they do in it. And I didn't realize it till this past few weeks when I've kind of been rewatching a few episodes, but that nothing lasts forever thing is definitely a foreshadowing. But one of my favorite ones from a previous episode is when Olenna is at the Joffrey's wedding and she straight up says getting killed at a wedding, that'd be so terrible. Why would anyone want to do that? And then just proceeds to kill Joffrey. I thought that was awesome.
Jeez. Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Great foreshadowing.
That's interesting, Joe. I noticed one, well, I can't take credit for it, but I saw that someone else noticed this in this season 8, episode 1. You remember in season 1 when, I don't know what episode, but I mean, it's early on when they go down the King's Road, I guess, and Jon heads to the Castle Black, to the Night's Watch, and, Ned goes on, and he asks him about his mother, and he says, next time we talk, I'll tell you about your mother. They never talk again. Jon finds out about his ancestry standing in front of Ned's tomb, face to face with his, whatever you call that. And it's a very cool moment right there that they really, it was the next time that they were together. he found out about his mother, which is very cool.
Dang.
Yeah, that's some good writing there.
It is.
Those subtleties are like, I feel like that's what makes the show, and you really can't grasp that from just watching it one time through. I did not catch that for sure.
Yeah, that's the great stuff in the writing for sure. It's like the bone marrow. You can just slurp it out so good.
Okay. Jeez.
I just remember the third kind of cringy thing that was in the episode. Arya brings her plans for that spear-looking thing to Gendry in his workshop, and they're like out of nowhere, like flirting with each other and being all weird. Did you guys notice them kind of being flirtatious down there? And it felt kind of weird to me.
I mean, they like had a thing earlier.
Yeah, like a buddy thing.
When there was that separation between the two, Arya was like, I could be your family, and he ends by saying goodbye, like, my lady, or something like that. And it was almost intimate in a way. So
are you saying in the prior season or last night?
No, from like prior seasons.
Yeah.
So maybe there is some kind of flirtation there. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't hate that. I didn't think that was too cringy. I think Arya like falling in love is maybe. I kind of wish she would just be like a badass, like
Agreed.
Never fall in love, just that kind of thing.
Any hypothesis that could be like a downfall to Arya? I feel like I don't know. That has not been anything her character has exemplified throughout the whole show. And honestly, you just like watching it from start to finish, especially if you've recently watched it, it's so freaking weird to see like that weird flirtatious, like it was like he was like her, you know, kind of watching over her, and now it's like a creepy ordeal.
Could be a downfall. I don't know. I just hope she doesn't go down that path. Gendry's probably gonna die. He's kind of an expendable character, right? Like his whole existence is like, okay, he's a special guy, but now he gets on a boat, and he's on that boat for like 3 seasons before we see him again. And now here he is, but now he gets on another boat, and we don't see him again for a long time. Like he's just.
Well, this was okay. So I don't claim to be the expert, but this is the guy that was Melisandre's like little sex slave, correct?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Same guy.
I mean, she put leeches on him and everything. I kind of thought that was just for the weirdos watching the show, you know, who needed a little jump there.
the weirdos that needed a jump.
You know, for the guys like Cole Norman out there, you know.
There you go.
Oh, here we go.
That's like a good old leech sucking.
We know why Cole watches.
When they were north of the wall, he did have the important duty of running away from the fight and getting help from the wall. But I agree. I mean, I think he has the potential. Like, I think the actor is kind of cool, but he hasn't done much besides forge some weapons. And maybe this weapon for Arya will be super important. Maybe not, but yeah, Gendry. Another kind of big thing that happened. I don't know how big, but Theon actually did something. He saved Yara, and he axed that guy in the forehead.
Yeah.
Do you think Theon's going to have a redemption arc this season?
I feel like he's already arced.
Yeah, that was pretty big time compared to most of his acts.
I'm just tired of Theon, man. I hope he gets killed quick.
Gonna go remove Theon from my debate plan.
No, I'm sorry. No. Totally unbiased here. Totally unbiased. I mean, if you mention Theon, that's -5 points.
I mean, I have Theon killing the Night King, so.
Oh, you
Just kidding.
I don't know, man. It's like Theon is just. I just don't find myself rooting for him that much.
Did any of y'all think that immediately when they when he busted in to save her, did you think that they both were just going to get axed right there? Because I was like, this is for sure going to happen.
It did not cross my mind, but it wouldn't surprise me considering how both of them have gotten screwed over a lot the past Theon the past 7 seasons.
Yeah, it would have been fitting, I think.
Or she just murders him. You know, she punched him. What if she just killed him?
That was kind of a cool scene, though. Like, that's not to get crazy nerdy, but like that's very much the embodiment of the Greyjoys. I feel like is like you wronged me, you left me to die. Okay, I punch you in the nose. We're even. And then the shot of like sister helping the brother up, that was kind of cool.
And more importantly, she's going back to the Iron Islands. I'm pretty sure they explicitly said, like, just in case the dead army comes, or just in case Daenerys and them have to fall back to the islands. Because from what we've seen so far, the White Walkers and the Whites can't go across water. So the islands could be a very strategic castle point or defensive position in the future.
I don't understand. I don't understand that. Can these White Walkers not create a boat? Can dragons not fly over? I just don't understand why that's a thing. Like why they feel they're so safe.
I mean, when have you seen them cross water? When they're north of the wall, there was a frozen lake. The ice broke. They couldn't walk through the water.
They didn't have a boat with them. If they cross through the wall, which they've clearly already done, they will have supplies south of the wall. All you gotta do is just make them.
I mean, their army's not exactly like a high IQ level. They just kind of roam around like feasting on people and like turning other White Walkers. But, you know, you're right. You would think that the boss would be able to kind of command a little functionality between them.
They did use they used chains in that one scene to get the dragon out of the lake.
That's right.
They do?
They do, yeah.
That's right.
That's how they drag the dead dragon back.
Yeah.
So you assume that some of them went underwater and put the chains on?
I guess. They sacrifice themselves.
They don't drown. No, I'm just kidding.
Point is they're intelligent.
That's a good point, Cole. What interests me in this episode about the Army of the Dead and the Night King is, one, they left another message, right? This spiral kid on fire.
That's sick.
Oh, by the way, that was Ned Umber, who I picked last pick in our draft.
Did you get a memorable death bonus?
I got 0 points for memorable death bonus.
What?
So
He got some points.
Wait, you don't get points for that?
Dude, I got no points for that.
He was roasted on
He
a
got
freaking...
points.
I got points, Joe?
Yeah, he got points. I saw points on his name.
He got points for memorable death.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Well, then I'm not upset about it because he was last picked. So to get anything from him, he was last pick in the whole draft. That's a value pick.
That was one of the most memorable deaths of all time. Like, that was freaky.
That was very scary. It was like definitely the jump thing. But what I'm curious about here is just the meaning of it. And I really hope that the Night King has some kind of agenda. The best villains have, you know, some kind of agenda other than just killing everybody and being like the evil incarnate beings. Like Thanos, you know, he wants to restore balance, but he does it in a very evil way. I hope that the Night King has some kind of like weird cultural something going on that like that's the reason for all of this besides just like must kill, you know, humans.
Yeah, but when you think about it, the Children of the Forest created the Night King and the White Walkers literally just to kill humans. I feel like there isn't something more to his motives.
I feel like the theories or whatever of connections with certain characters could lead into a little bit more of an illustrative agenda there.
That's true, and that's a good point, Big D. I forgot about the origin of them, but I mean, like they do have some culture. Like they make these weird spiral things. They do rituals with babies. They're at least more than zombies, you know.
Yeah, but the spiral designs were in the caves at Dragonstone from the Children of the Forest. I feel like that's just like a design they implanted in their brain when they created the Night King. I don't know. I feel like they're...
Yeah, you're convincing me.
We might be giving them too much credit. I don't know.
You're convincing me right now, but we'll see.
Another kind of bigger theme from this episode was Arya and more Sansa's total distrust of Daenerys. So Jon goes down, risks his life to get Daenerys' army to save the North, and then Sansa, all high and mighty now that she's Lady of Winterfell, is like totally being a bitch to Daenerys. What did you think of her interactions? Do you think that Sansa has like good reason to dislike her, or do you think she's just being a jealous sibling about it?
Yeah, David, I'm a hard disagree with you on this one. I definitely don't think she's being a bitch. I think she's honestly being she's being the wisest of all of them in her approach to all of this. She had a father and an older brother both die because of their own emotional investment into something take over common sense, and they both ended up dead. And so she's worried that this same approach will happen with Jon because he's making approach with his penis more so than with his head, per se. And
per se.
And so
But he's not. He went down to get an army, and that's what he got.
Yeah.
He got an army, but like he's still now he's separated the North from himself, and is like all he had to do was really convince her that these dead men existed, which he already did before he bent the knee to her. He already convinced her, and she was in. And then after she had seen it, that's when he bent the knee.
David, you are right. He did go down to get an army.
Oh,
per se.
Jeez, gosh.
Yikes.
Joe, did you agree or disagree with Sansa's skepticism?
I freaking hate Sansa, so yeah, I disagree. Or, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, like, Jon Snow in all of Game of Thrones has literally been the one guy who, like, tells everyone exactly what needs to be done, and, like, everyone hates him for it. Like, he's like, oh, maybe we should bring the wildlings south the wall, and he gets stabbed. And now he, like, brings an entire army there, and everyone's like, nah, like, we're good without him. Like, I feel like he is constantly doing what's best and gets no respect for it.
He could have gotten all of them to come up like he did without bending the knee. He already got...
And then they wouldn't have done it.
What do you mean?
No, Daenerys wouldn't have come.
She had gone to rescue him before he bent the knee. When he was trapped at the beyond the wall, she came... She saw her dragon had died. She had already invested. She already said that she was in. And that was when he bent the knee. When he was like in the bed on the ship.
Didn't he bend the knees? Like even, wasn't it a lot of it had to do with harvesting the dragon glass? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
I mean, he already got the dragon glass.
I think he refused until they were on the boat banging. I think Cole's right.
Yeah.
I am right.
I thought he knelt before that point.
No.
Well, here's the deal. My first reaction was to agree with you, Cole, and say, if anything, we've learned that it's like Tyrion said. Sansa's been underestimated this whole show, and she's always kind of proven to be better or wiser or smarter than people think. And it could continue. But I also think that she got too jaded in her time at King's Landing. Like, it was an awful time for her, but whether she likes it or not, she learned from Cersei and from others down there. And so now she's so skeptical and she's very protective when it's just not the right move right now.
I mean, she definitely doesn't make any decisions irrationally anymore, like she used to. She was the one who basically won the Battle of the Bastards by bringing Lord Baelish and the Army of the Vale. They were the reason why they won. I mean, we all thought that she would have given in to Lord Baelish while Jon Snow was down south, but she and Arya went behind Lord Baelish, this wise man, and basically killed him. I mean, I think we discredit a lot of Sansa's growth, and I think she's grown to be a very strong politician.
I agree, but it's just good enough to get you wiped by the Night King.
I feel like in this discussion we have to address the key point of the episode with Jon being revealed.
Oh yeah, good idea. This can be our last talking point before we move on to the debate. Joe, continue.
I thought it was pretty well executed.
Really?
I mean, like, I would have liked more probably, but I do like the imagery with Ned Stark in the background that Jared said. That actually made it better for me.
More of what? What does that mean? What do you want more of?
It was like so built up last season. Like that was the finale. And then we're just kind of like Sam tells him in a crypt, you know, like, hey, I mean, it was well done. I thought it could have been better.
But I feel like there was a little added drama with the fact that his freaking girlfriend just torched Sam's dad and brother. And he's
Bang.
like,
Exactly.
That scene was good.
That was my favorite scene of that episode, by the way.
Joe, I'm a hard disagree on this. I think the way that they handled telling Jon was a disaster. I think Bran, I hate Bran, first of all. I despise him. He's a worthless character that could be the most important, and I can't stand him. He's the one who supposedly knows everything. He's the one that knows that, you know, Daenerys is Jon Snow's actual aunt. And when Sam was like, well, why don't you tell him? You're the one who knows everything. His response was, it's because I'm not his brother anymore. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he says.
He also said, "I'm waiting for a friend," I think.
And that what is the correlation with that? All that Bran needs to do is sit Daenerys and sit Jon Snow down in one room and be like, "Look, guys, congrats on the sex, but Daenerys, you're his aunt." And if he does that, there's nothing to be said, because now Sam has told Jon Snow, and now Daenerys is going to think that Sam is like pissed at her for killing his father and his brother. Now there's this whole crap show, whereas Bran could have just nipped it in the bud right away, but no, he's a moron. He's a moron.
From like a TV show perspective, that's the tension they need.
Sure,
exactly.
But that's silly writing. It's silly writing.
But Cole, it sounds to me like your argument is that you just have a real problem with Bran, which I'm not gonna lie. After last night's episode, I mean, I think we all have got a little bit of a weird vibe coming from him. But
I have a problem with him, but I mean, he could have made this a very simple way of giving them bad news, but now he's making it very complex and very unnecessary.
I don't know.
We don't have time for this.
I think maybe the writers chose to have it be delivered by Sam because Sam isn't actually a great actor, as we saw when Daenerys told him the news of his father and brother being executed by her. Like, that was a great scene. I thought he really showed the emotion well in his face there. It's clear that actor, I don't know his name, John something, is a superior actor than Bran, who they picked as a child actor, and now they're dealing with him trying to be this weird three-eyed raven character that isn't even translating very well to the audiences, considering he was like a meme all over the internet today. But Sam delivering the message, I feel like, I mean, obviously he's like close with Jon and everything, but Bran saying like, "Oh, I have to meet an old friend," and just so he can stare at Jaime when he walks into Winterfell like 12 hours later in the middle of the night, like, that was not a good excuse for Bran to actually not tell Jon. Unless there wasn't a wheelchair ramp down into the crypts.
It's not a reason.
That's exactly why.
It's not handicap accessible.
Bran is an asshole.
I think the whole like brother thing is compelling. I think like Bran isn't even Bran anymore. They haven't seen each other in years. It doesn't matter because he's not the same person anymore. Sam is is Jon's closest friend. That makes sense that Sam should be the one to break that news.
This is a world where trust is always questioned. And for such a serious conversation like this, I think you'd want the most objective human being, or lack thereof, telling you the actual news. And that should be Bran. Is
it though? Because Jon doesn't even know about all that stuff that happened prior with the three-eyed raven and so on.
Bang.
And also Samwell is definitely Jon's most trusted friend. I mean, he's the only one at the wall who, like, him and like a very select few people were the only ones that were kind of there for Jon, that backed him up when everyone else shanked his ass to death.
The issue is not convincing Jon. The issue is convincing Daenerys.
Well, we'll see how that happens. It makes for good tension regardless.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Dany takes the news. Like, she could go many different directions, so that'll be fun. Hopefully next episode, hopefully they don't drag it on for too long. Jon needs to get it over with, even though it's going to be the most awkward conversation, considering they probably had sex in this episode too.
Don't you also think it's a little concerning that Jon's reaction to the news was more the horror of potentially breaking his vow of bending the knees to Daenerys, rather than the fact that he banged his aunt? Dude, I mean,
it's normal there.
That was my first thought. Oh my god,
Cole! If Daenerys was your aunt, you'd bang her too. Let's be honest.
All right, I think it's time to move on to the debate, the first debate of the season. And Jared, I will hand it over to you from here, the judge, and kindly restate the debate question for us, please.
Well, thanks, Big D. Debate question is, the three of you have prepared, either formally or you're going to wing it, we'll find out, an ending to the series of Game of Thrones. And it's my job to decide who wrote the best ending. And I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. In general, I don't like Joe. Cole's proven to pull some bad points out so far this episode. Peter's the wild card. I really have no idea. And there were 4 of you, actually, so I said 3. But we'll see how it goes. So I think everyone's going to give just a few minutes. And
what about me? You skipped me.
Well, you're kind of the steady host. Like, you're kind of like, I would say you're Bran. Definitely Bran. I'm just kidding. So everyone's going to give a few minutes. I'll take some notes. I might ask some questions, and I might even open up the floor for 1 or 2 questions from the competitors, and we'll go from there. So I would like to hear Cole Norman's his pitch for the ending of the show first.
Okay, so the best ending to me would be a scenario where both Jon Snow and Daenerys finish the season dead. and I mean that in a good way. So what I want to see happen is I want to find out in the next episode that Daenerys is actually pregnant. And the reason why I think that there is a possibility that she's pregnant with Jon Snow's child is the fact that Gerard Morant told Jon Snow to keep the sword that was technically part of like the Morant lineage, and he said you could have potential children, like give it to your child. I'm thinking maybe Daenerys has a child of Jon Snow, and that baby will be the future king of the seven Kingdom of the Seven. Jon Snow is going to die in the Great Battle. Daenerys is going to die fighting Cersei in the Golden Army, but she's going to give birth before that. And I see Tyrion being like interim king, if you will, in place of like the newborn Targaryen, whatever you want to call him, Jon Snow II. So that's my prediction. Baby Targaryen is going to be the king. Jon Snow's dead. Daenerys is dead. I see Sansa, my girl, as Warden of the North. Oh, and I also believe that Arya is definitely going to kill Cersei. I think that's an obvious. Always been on her list. I see the Hound dying by saving Bran in the Great Battle, and then Bran's going to reward him by banging Tormund. I think that'd be a lovely love scene right there. And also, I also have Theon defeating Euron Greyjoy and his fleet to basically finish off the battle versus the Lannisters and their army. And Bran's character is going to stay worthless.
So, okay, very good. So, Bran, who we spent all this time watching this crazy like magic happen. He's the wisest person, but he's just gonna chill out in his wheelchair. Inconsequential. He's gonna die. He's gonna fall down the stairs in his wheelchair. He's gonna hit his head, and that's it.
He's thoroughly disappointed me from this point. I see no reason to believe why that would change.
Okay. Any plot questions from the competitors here?
Yeah, a lot. First of all, in the best ending for the series, why would you not make Bran a more important character? Second of all, what happened to the Night King?
So the Night King's going to die. I also believe it's going to be from Arya. I think he's going to kill Cersei and the Night King. I think she's going to be the most feared killer in the lands.
Jeez.
She had that, that sketch given for what looked like some sort of like, I'm assuming it's intended for the White King. I don't know, but I see her being the killer of the White King. I don't know. All right,
very, very good pitch, Cole. I pray you stick to accounting.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take.
It is a hot take.
Oh, so hot.
Hey, listen.
So, is it like my quick one? Answer it fast. I know we got limited time here, but how is she gonna go through 9 months of being pregnant in this season? Like, I mean, are they just? I mean, I get that they kind of like jump through time. Is that kind of what you're predicting?
Yeah, that is what I'm predicting. I mean,
like a large swath of time will just be glazed over, like they did in every other season.
Yeah,
Okay.
Precisely.
Cole you gave him such an easy way out there. He just said, "Yeah, that's right."
I should have been a little bit more ruthless. However,
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay, let us hear from Peter.
Sure. Okay. I actually had a lot of stuff to do for grad school today. I'm an international relations grad student, and this actual assignment kind of shockingly similar to the first one I ever did in grad school, which is predict or write a letter of advice to the British Prime Minister before World War I to predict all of World War I and II to come. And Cole actually made a really good point that the world was kind of in a multipolar system, and that everyone was kind of acting in complete anarchy with his comment about Sansa. So I'll kind of go from there. Unfortunately, I do have a few similarities to Cole. However, I think I fill in some holes where he may not have. I call mine the lover's quarrel prediction. So obviously there's two love affairs that are kind of the centerpiece of this. There is Cersei and Jaime, and then Daenerys and Jon. I think both of those are going to just cascade and absolutely blow up and be the core of most of the drama. I think Jaime will end up killing Cersei directly after Cersei kills Arya in her attempt to kill Cersei herself. I see Dany being completely overcome with lust for power, ultimately causing Jon to kind of have to sack up and put a stop to her. I could see that being him directly killing her himself, or something equally as drastic. Bran and his love affair with the Night King. I think Bran is actually going to have to sacrifice himself or something along those lines in order to put an end to the White Walkers and their army. Let's see. And then finally, we are left with kind of two core characters that I was kind of thinking of when I was thinking this up, and that is Tyrion and Sansa. I believe that they will kind of foster kind of like a sub-romantic relationship, which I know is kind of interesting just based on their difference in stature. I mean, I think Tyrion is actually going to take the throne in the end, and I think that's how the whole damn thing's going to end. Strictly because I think he's going to ride in the shadows throughout this whole season. I think he's kind of like been there and done that. If you look at the whole show on a grand scale, obviously he's a big character, so not completely, but I think that he will kind of swoop in the end and kind of get some justice for the world shitting on him for being an imp.
Very interesting. Here is my question to you.
Sure.
What's the timeline of events with all this? There's a lot going on here. You know, Jon's killing Dany, Cersei's killing Arya, getting killed by Jaime, Night King's getting killed by Bran, doing some sacrifice. What's the timeline? When does the Night King get killed? Early, late? Does Dany get killed early, late? I
would say that it's probably all going to bunch up a little bit at the end. However, I think that Cersei, Jaime, Arya thing is probably going to happen first. It could be very plausible for the Night King thing to happen first. However, I want to say that that'll probably wrap it up. And then Jon and Dany being in the middle somewhere. I didn't put a whole lot of weight in terms of like when these things will happen. However, that's a really good question. I probably need to put a little bit more thought into that.
I will allow one question from the competitors.
I mean, you kept it kind of vague, like Bran sacrifices himself to kill the Night King, but no specifics there. So that is a detriment to your argument, I think.
I think Bran takes the handicap accessible elevator up to the tower he got pushed off, and then he just rolls himself out of there.
That would be awesome.
That's the sacrifice.
Finishes the job for Jaime.
All right. Very good, Peter. Thank you for your writing. And Peter, what's your? Oh, you said you're a international relations graduate student.
Yes. University of Denver.
Very good. And much like Cole, may you ever be a correspondent to other countries and never a writer to
the Game of Thrones.
popular TV shows. But hey, I'm not saying anything yet. We still have 2 to go. Okay, we still have 2 to go. Big D, hit us.
Oh man, thank you, Jared. All right, so the prompt is to pitch the best ending for Game of Thrones. What does the best ending for a long-running TV series look like? It leaves you with a little bit of mystery because you want to be able to be talking about it with your friends afterwards. You want to be able to speculate a little bit, but you don't want too much mystery. The show Lost, if you remember, had way too much mystery, too many new questions brought up at the very end of the last season, and most fans hated it. So that is not what I'm aiming for this Game of Thrones finale, but still you want to be able to speculate and discuss a little bit. So I wrote mine out as a script. I'll read it through quickly.
Ooh, a script.
Scene 1.
What has everyone been looking forward to for GOT's 8 seasons? The battle between the Dead Army and Westeros. GOT needs to end up with the most epic battle the small or large screen has ever seen, which they've been teasing in advertisement. This battle could only take place at Castle Dragonstone. After a mid-season battle at Winterfell, half of the Allies' armies are decimated. They must fall back south in order to avoid total destruction. Daenerys chooses to sacrifice what is left of the Unsullied army to save the rest of the Northerners and give them time to retreat south. After being told the news of Jon's actual ancestry, Daenerys still doesn't know what to think and won't talk to Jon for a couple episodes. Sam, Arya, and Sansa continue to spread seeds of doubt into Jon's mind about Daenerys' motives and condition to be queen. Fast forward to the final couple episodes, everyone is held up in Dragonstone for their last stand against the army of the dead, who they thought couldn't get to the island because of the ocean. Still only thinking about her future on the throne, Cersei begins an attack on Dragonstone with Euron's fleet and the Golden Company. At the same time, the Night King's army reaches the shores and begins freezing the ocean, making an ice bridge with the dragon's blue ice breath combined with the Night King's ice powers. As the battle rages, Bran sees the only way to kill the Night King, warging into Rhaegal, the dragon, with Arya on Rhaegal's back and her projectile spear that we saw in episode 1, to get close enough to the Night King. However, the Night King has some control over Bran's warging abilities from touching him in the vision in a previous season, and Rhaegal instead starts to attack Drogon with Daenerys on his back. Daenerys is forced to use Drogon's greater power to kill Rhaegal and Arya. Bran realizes how connected he is with the Night King during this and stabs himself to death while co-warged into Rhaegal, and the Night King dies along with all of his army. Jon witnesses Dany killing Arya on Rhaegal and rushes at her in a rage when she lands on the island. His sword bursts into flames in his rage, but she convinces him not to kill her because she says, "Stop, I'm pregnant with your child." The battle is won by the good guys, so the Golden Company and Euron's army is half defeated by the Dead Army as well. Cersei, in the meantime, is hiding in King's Landing, defeated. Jaime goes to King's Landing and strangles her to death once and for all, fulfilling the witch's prophecy. And the Hound and Brienne tag team and take down the mountain. Dany's health is rapidly declining, over the course of an episode, and it turns out Jon had impregnated her, not with a child, but with a demon baby, a side effect of his resurrection from Melisandre. The baby kills Dany in childbirth, and the demon escapes out into Westeros. Everyone wants Jon to take the crown, but he establishes Sansa as ruler in the north, and Tyrion as ruler in the south, and melts down the Iron Throne, getting rid of the king overall. The end.
Wow.
Where the demon baby, though, does that just dissipate, or does that, just destroy the world or something? I mean...
So, you remember what I said off the top? You want some mystery left at the end of the season so you can speculate with your friends, but not too much.
So that is it's left with a little bit of, openness.
Yeah, the Dead Army is gone. The Night King is defeated, but what is this demon created from the Targaryen incest baby?
Okay, I missed a very important part. I didn't miss it. I just forgot it because I was writing stuff down. The Night King is riding Viserion, I think. You got Dany on Drogon, and now you've got Arya on Rhaegal. And Arya gets messed up because of Bran and the Night King. And that's how she dies. what happened? So how does the Night King die?
Bran and the Night King both warged into Rhaegal at the same time because the Night King wanted to combat his warging because he was going to use Rhaegal to attack the Night King with Arya's spear while the Night King was on Viserion. But instead, the Night King opposed Bran's warging abilities and started attacking Daenerys on her dragon on Drogo instead. So Drogo and Daenerys had to take out Arya and Rhaegal. But Bran realized as he was like in the mind of the Night King that if he killed himself, that the Night King would die. So he stabs himself in his wheelchair, cuts his throat, whatever, and that kills Bran and the Night King at the same time.
Got it.
But he's not able to move while he is in his warging state.
Well, he did it. Okay. He pulled it out.
Okay.
Okay. Very good, Big D.
Should I stick with my profession or what's your...
I think I'm not going to say anything yet.
All right.
Did you write Harry Potter as well? You know, when the Voldemort and Harry's wands connect?
All right. Joe, last but not least yet.
No, not least, I hope. Based on some of these. No, I'm just kidding.
Joe, you've tended to be an artsy, you're a creative person. You're a pretty good artist, like pretty good. You can draw things. I don't know how well you write.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat, my friend.
Okay, well, go ahead. I give it to you now.
I consider this my, magnum opus, if you will.
Wow. I can't wait.
All right. Here we go. So 6 episodes is not that much time, obviously. But Game of Thrones is blessed by the ability to travel long distances in mere minutes, while the Night King stands virtually still for 7 straight seasons. We all know this. So there's going to be a lot of moving in mine, but I hope it'll work well. So the Battle of Winterfell is going to be one for the books. Not literally for the books, because George R. R. Martin's going to die before he writes the books, but cinematically it is going to blow us all away as we watch the Night King blow everyone else away. I'm talking dragon on undead dragon action. Dothraki screamers screaming in fear. The Unsullied getting sullied. I'm talking.
You love that one. You were just waiting to say that.
I scrolled back to the Google Hangout so I could see your reactions. The characters we love most will become the zombies we love least. And only a few will escape, and only because Bran stays behind and works himself into Rhaegal, which is actually very similar to David's, and essentially uses a powered-up Rhaegal to hold off the Night King while everyone else escapes. And Mira Reed will stay there and defend him, and she'll die, which would be great. And then they'll both get killed by the Night King. After that, we'll find ourselves with a broken and battered army, minus 1 dragon, crawling desperately to Cersei's doorstep. But Cersei's not a fool, and she knows she has the power, so she says something along the lines of, kneel and I'll let you in. Cersei, or Dany and Jon have to basically join forces behind Queen Cersei in charge. But Cersei's gone crazy, and she has other plans. So as the Night King shows up, starts breaking through the grate, Cersei unveils her plot, and she has laid wildfire all throughout King's Landing, much in the way of the Mad King. So, a desperate Cersei, mirroring the Mad King, plans to destroy all life as she sees there is no hope. Dany, the Hound, and a few loyal survivors attack the Red Keep to stop her. The Hound kills the Mountain, obviously. But it's too late, and as Cersei begins to release her hold on a torch to blow the city to bits, a golden hand falls upon her shoulder, and a Valyrian steel blade pierces her heart. The Kingslayer became a Queenslayer, a Kinslayer, but most of all, the true savior. But the fight isn't done. In a moment of clarity, we see that they have a chance now. So Theon's ship hauls into the harbor, and Dany and Tyrion hop on board, and some other characters get on. And Jon and Jaime stay behind to hold off the Night King. And as they leave, the White Walkers burst into the throne room. A battle ensues. The Night King blows up the throne with his icy grip. But not before Jon can release his hold on the torch and blow all of King's Landing to bits. So they think they've won. But just when you think that, a screeching Night King on Viserion comes flying out from the ruins, and Dany and an exhausted Drogon rise up to meet him in battle. Big aerial battle ensues. Then a big old fight, and they fall to the earth, and it looks like the Night King's about to kill Dany. The dragons are dead. But just as they're about to, Jon Snow, in all his naked glory, because he survived the wildfire because Targaryens can't burn, comes up and stabs the Night King in the back, and then dies from his wounds. And then Dany, standing there, Tyrion walks up and says, so ends the last of the dragons. And then Dany looks at the ruins and says, no, the dragons live on, and feels her pregnant belly and Aegon IV of his name is on the way.
So, Joe, if you would have done your research thoroughly, you would have known that in season 1, Jon Snow burns his hand on a lamp that he pushes over, and his hand gets burned, and he's like, and he actually hurts his hand from the fire. He is not flame resistant. It's canon.
Yikes.
John was faking in that scene.
Okay.
It's revealed
So everyone believes me. Everyone believes me or agrees with me. Daenerys is going to have a child by Jon Snow.
Oh yeah,
sweet. I mean, not human.
Sweet.
Joe, we're left with the throne is destroyed.
Yeah.
But Dany is pretty much like Dany and Tyrion are like the only ones alive.
Yeah.
And she's pregnant with a baby. I mean, that's where we end. So maybe as the viewer, now I'm thinking, okay, Dany she's going to rebuild. She is going to be queen. She's going to rebuild, and then her son will be king after her.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the intention there?
Yeah, 100%.
Very interesting.
What's the significance of the throne being destroyed then? Is that just simply to show that, like, the cycle has been broken, or?
Yeah, and it would just make a sick cinematic shot to see the Night King put his hand on it and it just disintegrate. It's what everyone wants to see.
If Daenerys ends up queen, then did she break the wheel? I don't think so.
Maybe she'll turn it over to Tyrion to run a democracy, you know?
There's some overlap in all of these, actually.
We'll leave it up to the viewer to decide what happens next. Maybe they'll have an oligarchy. I don't know.
In the wildfire piece, like, how many humans is Jon killing there?
A good amount.
Every living human in the capital, or in King's Landing. I
mean, by that point, everyone's pretty much dead or undead, except for the ones that escape on the boat. But I'd say he still kills them. It's a sacrifice that he needs to make.
So like everybody is dead now. Like everybody's dead except for anybody who is not in the fight on the fringes or whatever, and Dany and Tyrion, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
Well, who do you say is going to kill the Ice Dragon?
Drogon and the Ice Dragon are going to fight it out to the death. They'll kill each other, and that's where they fall to the earth. And Dany and the Night King are there, and then Night King's going to kill Dany. But Jon saved
and Rhaegal stayed behind at Winterfell through Bran's warging to hold them off, but he got killed at Winterfell.
Oh yeah.
Does he not get resurrected?
No.
All right. Well,
the Night King forgot about that dead dragon.
He doesn't
need to. One does the trick just fine.
He gets to King's Landing. He's like, crap.
He's really kicking himself over that second dragon. Rookie mistake. He's been in the woods too long. All right. I have 4 sticky notes littered with notes. Actually, this is a bit of a battle. All right. I have made my decision. It was a four-way battle. Well, it was a 2-way battle for first place and a 2-way battle for last place. But it was close both ways. I mean, everyone should be proud.
It's cool, guys.
We'll start with the battle for last place. The winner of last place, the worst argument and worst pitch for final ending, and it was close, fellas, is Peter. and I really liked where your head was at with a lot of this stuff. I have to say, Jon killing Dany because she kind of goes crazy, Targaryen crazy like her dad. That's cool. I'm in on that. You guys both had Bran, doing
suicide, basically.
Kind of sad. And so that's a wash. That's fine. What it really comes down to, I don't love Tyrion on the throne.
Ooh.
I don't love Tyrion on the throne. And
that's the dividing line.
That was kind of it. So, Cole edged you out on, it was close. You didn't edge you out on much. I'm looking at my notes now.
You're starting to rethink it a little bit.
Yeah.
I really am. But I can't even read my notes. Little Snow, eventually the king, as in Little Snow being Jon's son.
Which was just glazed over in Cole's argument, as I pointed out earlier.
Yeah. So, but the decision's made. Congratulations. I don't know who to congratulate there. I think.
I beat you, Cole. I came on this episode with an agenda of my own.
Peter, consider yourself digitally thrashed.
You're both winners in your own right, okay? Now, that leaves David and Joe in the battle for first place. Oh, wow. You know, this one's tough, too. David gave some great, just some good, just theming. You know, here's really what we're going for. Mystery, but not too much. We want enough resolved, but just a taste of mystery to leave you on, the edge of your seat afterwards and give you something to talk about with your friends. Joe gave, a compelling reading of his story. Not unlike the origins of this podcast, where that many of us used to live in an apartment together called The Hostel. And we used to have a great segment of friendship where Joe would read Lord of the Rings straight from the book with David playing the musical theming from the movies.
At the breakfast table.
Old Tolkien time with Joe.
Did he play that on the recorder or the lute?
That's a good joke. I'm about to switch place. You're about to go to third place, baby. So Joe's reading was reminiscent of those great days. I'm drawn to the idea that a lot of people die. This leaves a lot of people dead, which Joe did. Also, Joe, I think the best thing you did was your telling of
the Unsullied getting sullied. Oh,
no, absolutely not. But you're telling of how Cersei died. Here comes the golden hand, stays the torch, bang, sword in the heart, Kingslayer, Queenslayer, Kinslayer. Great. That's pretty good right there.
Thank you.
Ultimately, the winner of this episode, and I'll do a bit more explaining afterwards. The winner of this episode is David.
Wow. You hyped it up so
Demon
much.
babies running wild.
Thought it was a lock.
I hyped you up. And let me put it this way. This is borderline. It's not an asterisk win. David won. But this is really, you hit it in the water twice on 12 at Augusta, Joe. You did. You were in the lead, and you splashed it a couple times. Not unlike Spieth, not unlike Molinari that we've seen just yesterday. Because I liked your story better. I really did. But it can't happen. Here comes David with the
plot holes.
The real plot hole. You had a big plot hole. That's the problem. You didn't do the homework for the plot hole.
I wanted to put that in mine, but I Googled it and it said he was hurt by fire.
Not know that
so I didn't put it in mine.
The long story short is, Joe, I liked your story. You didn't do your homework and it cost you down the stretch. David did just enough. He hit his ball striking was a little better this time. And you're the big winner today, Big D. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jared. Joe, ours were actually fairly similar in their overall themes. Sacrifice in the north to get everybody to move south. Yours moved to King's Landing. Mine moved to Dragonstone. Yeah. The dragon battle at the end. But then details were different. But
pretty much.
Great minds.
And then a demon baby versus a real baby.
Yeah. Thank you for judging, Jared.
Indeed.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We are also on Spotify now. That would really help out the show if you give us a great 5-star rating like Peter did. And you can call out any of us. We don't mind. We'll even read it on the show if it's funny enough. Next week on the show, I have an interview episode with Tom Boyden, who runs the YouTube channel Juji Mufu. They actually have a few videos with Thor Bjornsson, the mountain from Game of Thrones. So if you want to check those out before that episode, they're pretty interesting. They're working out with him at his gym in Iceland, and he's actually a really cool dude. Not scary, well, scary physically in real life, but not personality-wise, like the zombie mountain. All right, that is all. We'll see you next week for episode 42. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So long.
Thanks for listening to Hostile Discourse. Subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. and check out our other social media accounts linked in the show notes. Join us next time for more inexhaustible debate over the most questionable of topics.